My name is Behruz Babayev. I'm a lecturer at UNEC Business School, Azerbaijan State University of Economics. Today, I'm going to talk about, deliver a short lecture on the role of strategy in business. So we have a number of learning objectives. First of all, I will discuss the essentials about strategy. Second, we'll understand three components of strategy statement. Then we will determine the role of strategy in business. Finally, we will see a great example in the case of Stance, a company that strategy helped to be successful. So as a part of this lecture, we are going to talk about the strategy and the importance of strategy in business. And finally, when we want to finalize our lecture, we will identify the role of leadership in strategy creation. So first of all, let's determine what is the strategy, what the strategy is. So the business strategy was developed, the modern concept of business strategy was developed by Porter, professor of Harvard Business School. So it was, he wrote an article in 1994, which explained the importance of strategy in business. So according to Porter, business strategy is about using a unique set of activities for your business to achieve competitive advantage over rivals. But in a modern understanding, we understand the concept of strategy as the both goal and of the organization and the special means to achieve them. So, and there are some terms associated with strategy. As you can see here, the most important term associated with the strategy is a competitive advantage. Competitive advantage is a unique feature of your company that allows it to function better over rivals. As well as of course, businesses, in order to achieve competitive advantage, Porter mentions that the businesses have to use activities. And examples of activities include projects, products, marketing activities, pricing activities of your company. And finally, the competitive advantage can be achieved if your activities are different, fit, and can reinforce each other. However, some find the strategy pretty confusing. Most executives don't actually interpret what the strategy of their organization is. So there are some terms associated with the strategies that people find them confusing. They usually can't differentiate the difference between the strategy between the strategy and these terms. This includes operational effectiveness. Of course, the operational effectiveness is very important in business activities. If any company wants to be successful and to produce income, they have to be operationally effective. However, we should differentiate the difference between the strategy and operational effectiveness. Strategy does not mean that it is to be operational effective does not mean that it is a good strategy. At the same time, some may find planning, goal, mission, vision of the organization similar to strategy, but of course, planning, goal, mission, values are not strategy. They are important for any organization, but it doesn't mean that we may understand them as a strategy. At the same time, copying competitor does not produce a good strategy. In fact, your strategy market position has to be unique. Any organization's strategic position has to be unique, has to be different than rivals. Because when you copy your rivals, it doesn't mean that you produced or you developed a good strategy. Strategy, when we want to understand the place of strategy among company statements, you can see here we have a number of company statements. So companies use while developing, while conducting their strategic planning. They include mission, which explains why the company exists basically. Vision, what we believe in. Values, what we believe in, what kind of values we believe in. Vision, where we want to be in the long run. And finally, you see that the strategy is a completely different concept than other company statements. The aim of strategy, it is your unique plan to create a competitive advantage or to be competitive among your rivals. So it's not the same concept with vision, values, mission, and other company statements. It has its own place among the company statements, as well as a part of the strategic development of a company, planning, let's say. So I would love also to talk about three essential components any strategist must have. The first is objective, second is scope, and third is advantage. These three components have to be a part of any strategy statement. So strategic objective means a specific goal to create shareholder value. Your scope includes your customers, your business area or your industry you are going to operate in, and your landscape, a business landscape. And finally, the most important part of any strategy is unique activities we use to deliver customer value. So, and why do you think that, why is it important, why we are discussing strategy as a part of our MBA class, why strategy so matters in business? So strategy helps companies to decide where they will spend their resources. It will, your strategy also helps you establish strategic position of your company. Finally, strategy makes companies, a good strategy, a solid strategy, make companies very interesting for investors, for outside or for any companies that wants to buy your shares, or when they want to invest in you, because they may find the strategy one of the important assets the company may have. For example, your team might be interesting for investors, or your strategy might be interesting for investors. So if you have a really solid strategy, investors might find interesting to invest in your company. So, as you see from here, so the role of strategy in business is very, unavoidable. It's very important. And today also, I will show you a great example from a company that strategy helped it to be really successful. So it's called, so probably not many people heard about Stance. When I made the research, I find this company that exists in the United States. It was a small company. So, but strategy helped it to raise enormous amount of funds. As a strategy, a successful, a good strategy helped it, to generate funds to be successful. So here, so I will try to explain that how the Stance became successful thanks to its amazing strategy. So Stance was a 6-year-old SOC startup. So Stance's strategy was just simply being unusual. They made signed the deal with National Basketball Association to be their official SOC company, and they designed their SOCs in an exciting and sexy way. So the design helps the company, unusual design, being unusual among the SOCs company, lets the company raise $86 million by selling the SOCs. So you see that, when it comes to the uniqueness of strategies, so Stance was they didn't create or they didn't produce a special product, but they presented the special product in a unique way, based on a unique design. Basically, the Stance, let's say, the Stance strategy was being just unusual. So it helped it being different, being unique than their competitors, lets the Stance to be successful and raise $86 million within a few years. And finally, I would love to finalize my lecture by talking about the role of leadership in terms of strategy development. So, of course, leaders of organizations, top managers, as the strategy matters for a successful business, they have to spend their time for developing a solid strategy, for producing a good strategy. And they also need to focus on creating difference. And they have to make sure that their strategy are different than their competitors. I mean, I told before that copying competitors does not produce a good or solid strategy to be successful. They have to make sure that, I mean, they are developing something that is unique. You know, we saw how unique activities helps the startups to be successful. And also, you know, you look here and the leaders have to determine a unique position of a company among competitors. And they have to make sure that their strategy is fit with the external and internal environment of organization. I mean, also the strategy is confident with mission, vision, and values of the organization. So they have to be very associated. It's not something different. And finally, they have to focus, I mean, the leaders of business have to focus on the long term. So let me finalize what we have already talked in as a part in this lecture. So we basically, we learned about, as a part of this short lecture, I was trying to explain what the strategy is, how Potter determined it, and then to understand three essential components of strategy statement. At the same time, I was trying to explain the importance of strategy for a business success. And finally, I showed an example from a stance to support how the strategy helps organizations to be successful. And finally, also, I identified the role of leadership for a solid strategy creation. So that's all for today from our course, Strategy, Innovation, and Organization. So I'd like to thank you for your attention. Thank you very much.